Okay, welcome on board, everybody. So we're going to get into some of the nuances, the new things that have been added with the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0. This came out last few days, so this is exciting all over the world right now. In the past, it was focused on identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. But now there is a new additional layer called govern. Anytime we hear the word govern, mostly in your mind, mentally think about leadership, governance, oversight. That should be some of the things that comes to your mind all the time. Some general scope in terms of audience and what was added. It can be used for small size organization, large enterprise, mid-sized enterprise. It's not just focused on any industry. In the past, the design for 1.1, the version that was prior to 2.0, was mostly around critical infrastructure, right? But now it's more flexible to cut across any kind of industry, which is amazing, really, right now. Govern. If somebody asks you what is the new element within CSF framework, all of us must use the word govern. Like I said in the past, everything that was there beside the govern. It's a new functionality, but remember again, a proper governance always ensure cyber efforts are aligned with business objectives and roles and responsibility in general, because now we have your leadership tied into the process. There's no project on earth that can succeed really without buying from your leadership. If the leadership is not there to buy in, it's almost a waiting disaster, really. So I think for all of us, we can agree on this that for any environment project to be successful, the buying from the leadership must be there. So government now mandates and says, okay, hey, pause, guys. We are bringing leadership in the process all along, which I thought was brilliant. I think it's a good one out there. And of course, with the renaming, the realignment, so you can tell there's just a lot of changes and realignment in general from the old one to the new one. I'll move on to what really we care about. Of course, we have some quick start guide that NIST has provided for us. We have some searchable catalog within their website. They have some good success stories also. So those are there for us to consume. Of course, the categories have been adjusted with the addition of govern in the process right now. And this is just some historic context. 2013, initial release, 2018, 1.1, 2024. I believe this happened last few days. So, which is good, 2.0. Now, what are the core functions within this framework? Of course, we can agree in the past we had identify, protect, detect, respond, recover. Govern is the new one. Anytime we hear the word identify, it's really mostly talking about an organization understanding on how to manage the risk around their systems, the people, the data, the asset, and the capability in general. The protect is talking about what are those safeguards to ensure delivery of critical services. The text is saying, okay, what are the mechanisms to actually detect security events? Respond. Yes, it's not a function of if you're attacked, is when you're attacked, right? We all can agree on that. So respond is saying, do we have a strategy to respond when that happens? Recover. All right, there's an attack. Like everybody knows it will happen to everybody. How do we recover? Because it's not just having a plan or respond. What about a recovery plan? What is the plan to recover when there is a potential threat to our business? Then govern, which is just a huge one, a governance structure and risk management strategy around your business as a whole. So look at it from a perspective of leadership oversight, and you see the details in a bit now. Like I said, govern in your mind, think about the policy high level. Of course, how do we make sure we have strategy in place? How do we make sure we have a solid oversight in the business as a whole? Then how do we implement the appropriate risk management within your organization as a whole? Also, that's a big one. Identify, like we said, what are the process to, make sure we can conduct an impact assessment on our business? How do we make sure we can rank the risk based on the impact on business as a whole? Do we have a plan in general in place? A risk management plan as a whole within our organization. So that's also a big one within those key new areas. Then protect, of course, access control. How do we protect malicious actors from gaining access to our environment? Um, Education for our users or our employees, naturally. So security awareness is a big one for any organization. Data security is huge, right? We can all agree that we know data is the new oil, so it means everything is data, beside the regulation that can really get us in trouble, but everything ultimately is data, right? So I'm just saying in terms of how do we protect those data? Because if you compromise your customer's record or information, or if it's healthcare information, or if it's for defense information, then we're talking about sometimes lives are impacted. Safety is a big issue. Then, of course, reputational damages, lawsuits, and so many, many, negatives to data breach in general. Detect what are the mechanism in place to monitor our network? How do we analyze the systems? Then, do we do constant vulnerability scan? How do we scan consistently for potential vulnerabilities within our environment also? Respond, like we said earlier on, we're saying, all right, so, how do we respond? I mean, at the end of the day, you identify a security incident. What is your plan to respond? Number one, do you even have a plan? Not having a plan already is a disaster, right? So that's already a no-no. Then the question is that, what is the plan? Then how do we prioritize the response? Sometimes some of the security incidents that you see as an alert are false positive. How do we eliminate the noise and make sure that it's only appropriate things that are really recognized and escalated, right? Then how do you prioritize it? How do you contain the incident? How do you eradicate the incident? And how do you ultimately recover from the incident? And for those of my folks doing those normal program, we normally get more into that in details. All right, recover is more, okay, how do you restore from system and the asset itself? How do you improve resilience? What is the communication structure around keeping the right stakeholders? We can all agree, for example, if a system is attacked, I don't know if you guys follow the week this news. This week, Microsoft was allegedly attacked by Russian, hackers, right? This week, and you can be sure it will impact millions of customers. Definitely, if it's Microsoft. And the crazy thing is, it was Office 365, right? So we are talking about this is all our emails. So the details have not been fully known yet, but I can assure you, almost guarantee that the optics will look bad because if it's Microsoft. So they have all our Office, all our suites, everything is with them. So I don't know how they will get over this but it definitely looks bad right now. You know, what are the benefits of making sure we have all these new um, functions in place, improve risk management, engagement with your leadership more, then wider adoption as a whole. The implementation process in general, we can agree, we assess, we create the plan, we implement, we review and adjust. You will see some of those today when we get into the labs. All right, let me give some core extra details, which I thought would get into the specific of what NIST has considered a big deal. For govern, for example, they have a section, a category called organizational context, right? Which is the mission of the company, the expectation, dependency, legal, regulatory requirements, all of the basic strategy, business content. Then, of course, risk management within govern, roles and responsibility and authorities defined within govern, policy built within govern, oversight provided within govern, then ultimately supply chain within govern, right? So we're talking about all the processes around risk management for supply chain, something as, getting goods and services from some of their top tier vendors, right? So those are risks that should be considered under govern also. So yes, You can see some of those key categories identified with govern. So you can tell it is pretty big deal. It means if you're in leadership, your role has been evolved into very, very hands-on now. So there's no excuse to say, well, I don't know what's going on within the cyberspace. No, because within my framework, governors called you out. It's no longer some, areas that in the past you could sneak in leadership in different areas already, identify, you can put stuff out. But now we said, okay, scratch that. We have a section dedicated for you. So the beautiful thing I think is to make a lot of people now more engaged in cyber risk, even right now at the board level. Most of the time, when I do assessment the last 2 years, I'll tell you one thing. One of the questions we ask the CISOs is always at the board, because the CISOs will present to the board maybe every quarter, sometimes monthly. So it depends on their risk or threat landscape. You have to ask the CISO, how knowledgeable is the board? And they will tell you, well, our board is very knowledgeable about cyber threat. And you and I can agree, everywhere in the world today, it's almost hard not to be knowledgeable about cyber threats because outside of your cooperation, let's say you are doing food and beverage, outside of safety of the food, your biggest threat is going to be cyber threat, you know? Because I mean, that's good. What else? Because you are using all these devices, all these systems. So your biggest threat really is your cyber threat to ruin your business at the end of the day. So most people recognize that right now, even at the board level. The other thing is identify, like we said, anytime we are talking about identify, we're talking about things like asset management. How do we manage the asset, risk assessment? Now we conduct risk assessment, the improvement process around your cybersecurity processes, policies, procedures. Those are things we really cover under identify. Protect. We can agree with this. Now we're talking about, okay, how do we protect the organization, the safeguard around the organizational cybersecurity as a whole? So we're talking about things like your identity management or identity access management, awareness training, data security. Now there's platform security also, and technology infrastructure resilience. How resilient is your infrastructure as a whole also? Detect. Every environment, we should have a mechanism to potentially detect if there's a threat within our organization, right? And a lot of you said earlier on monitoring. How do we ensure continuous monitoring of the asset? What about if there's an anomaly indicator within our environment or indicator of compromise within your environment? A lot of environment now, they have tools that would analyze and tell you if there's a pattern. For example, if I notice certain IP, addresses are normally logging on to your network, you can easily tell, wait a minute, this person works 8 to 5 for the last 2 weeks. He or she has been logging in on weekends and abnormal times. Are they working outside of the country? Are they, you can kind of start thinking about, is there a risk here, right? And some of them are just rules they've built into their system to automatically capture such anomalies and they'll call it out. Now, if it's a false positive, that's fine, but the managers will be aware of it. Or somebody suddenly start downloading heavy files, and they see the pattern. Okay, wait a minute. Is he or she quitting the organization and stealing our data, or have they been compromised? Nobody will tell you, but your leadership will look at it. Sometimes they will call you and say, hey, dude, what's going on? Are you working on this project? You say no. All right, so why are you downloading these files? Oh, well, sorry, I'm using it for this. Okay. Um, Next time, make sure you keep us aware. So people have those data. You can't just play around stuff. Sometimes even if you go access certain directories that are not yours, and we have the system built, the rules built to trigger alerts of people trying to attempt to log into certain folders, your name will appear there and we can call you and say, hey, dude, what's going on? Are you working on this project? Do you need access to this? When your manager is asking you that question, it's because they have the information, and it's hard to, you can't just deny it. The data is there, right? So just something to know. All right. The next one, respond. We can agree at the end of the day. How do we respond? You know, do we have a response plan? At the end of the day, how do we analyze it? How do we communicate it? Now, when there's an issue, we know how do we mitigate the risk also. That is what Respond is addressing with CSF 2.0. Recover, as we said earlier on, now we're talking about how do we restore operation when there is an incident, right? Do we have a recovery plan, execution? Then how is the communication around it too? Communication is so important internally and externally, mostly within the external framework, either your service providers, your solution providers, your vendors that are supporting you, or sometimes it's just somebody that is helping you to, you outsource certain services and they're the ones helping you to fix those issues to recover. So those are very important. So communication is always a big one too at the end of the day. All right. So let me quickly sneak in something real quick because this will help us to jump into our topic in a bit. Okay. Let's talk about this. Can we all type this together? CMMI model. Can we all type CMMI if you don't mind? And let me tell you, let me just give you an hint about it. Can we type CMMI model real quick? Let's go. Let's keep it simple. Let me ask you, when we go to the hospital and the first thing they will ask you, let's say you had a foot injury, right? What's the first thing they will ask you and I? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you feeling, right? 1 being less or less pain, 10 means more pain. We can agree on that, right? Okay. In the case of CMMI model, don't overthink it. There are many models out there. NIST has some tiering model too. There are 4 they can consider to use. I like CMMI because it's a globally used process maturity model used in project management, process management, and different areas too, including cyber. So I like it. So I chose to use it for our program. So in CMMI, it has 5 areas. Okay. I'll talk about those 5 areas real quick. One is saying, you know, it's chaotic, right? I'm asking you, do you have policy and procedure? You tell me, no, we don't have a policy and procedure. Well, we don't have anything. The last person that wrote the policy was 15 years ago and he or she's gone, right? Okay, fine. So we all can agree that's chaotic, right? Let's go to the second one, managed. They say processes are planned, performed, measured, and controlled, right? So this is, you know, um, there's planning around this, there are draft documentation, it may not be finalized. So you might tell me, yes, we know we should have policy and procedure, we are writing it, it's at draft form right now, and our leadership are looking at it as we speak right now. Okay, fair point. I'll score you 2 because it's really, you know, you have you have something you are thinking, right? But you've not done anything, you know, that is finalized. 3 is the baseline good boy, good girl, right? I'm saying it's defined, your processes are there, you've started, you have guidelines, you have procedure in place, so we can say 3, okay? 4 is saying quantitatively managed level, processes are controlled. Now, nuances here because we can easily tell that, okay, something is being used at this point in time. So for this, we can say, okay, this is a good process because they have a way they can measure how good or how bad they are doing. So this is pretty good, right? 5 is maturity steroid, in my opinion. Why? Because now it's not just it is matured, there is a mechanism to keep reviewing the performance and monitoring it. Example, so you have policies and procedure built, you have to score the quality of those policies and procedure. Internally, you have a process to score it. So internally, we can say we score it at, score of 1 to 5. I score it 4. So we constantly score it because it's consistent with what we currently have. Now, imagine now adding, despite the fact we have a process to score it, I now decided to also implement internal monitoring. As you are scoring it, somebody is constantly monitoring it every quarter also. So going back and check the documentation and reviewing it that, you've put too much, it's almost like an overkill. So we can all agree and say, okay, you know what? Or maybe you bring in auditors every year also or every 6 months to still review the document. So now you can say, okay, this is fully optimized. This is just a process that is just existing on its own, very functional, and equally monitored consistently, almost like a 24/7 monitoring, really, sort of. But you know what I mean? So now at the end of the day, it's like, okay, this is a very efficient process. It is equally monitored, and this is spot on. All right. So that's really what the five, I want you to think about it that way. Okay. So I say all that to lead us to when you look at the Excel document I gave you all right. So now let's come into that Excel document together. This is the fun part, ladies and gentlemen. And I know the document I gave to us. Let me double check the one I sent to us. Let me double check that real quick. Okay. All right. If you have access to the document, do me a favor, give me thumbs up. If you've seen the document I sent the document on our network. It's an Excel document. If you got that document, just give me thumbs up. All right. Okay. Thank you. So quite a number of us got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. But let me share my document to make you see, man, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, what you're looking here, for some of you, this will be a lifesaver for you. For some of you that are crazy driven folks, you can use this to build a competency, a career. Honestly, look out for the final version next week and an ebook we are pulling out to a larger community. We'll make sure we share within Skillweed first. But this is, if you notice, this function, category, subcategory um, came from NIST. The assessment, question, evidence, and request, this came from Skillweed, okay? This is from our team, Skillweed team, okay? So this is the proprietary information. This is something that you can leverage. This is something you will not see out there. So what do we care about? Okay. So for the subcategory, for example, it says the organization mission is understood and informs cybersecurity risk management. Look at the question. How is the organization mission defined and communicated within the organization? So I want to know, they should give me information around this. So what are the evidence I need? You say, okay, I need your mission statement, documents showing alignment of cybersecurity strategy with organizational goals. So now I'm getting into details of the kind of documents I can request for. Now look at the sweet part of it. Now you also have ideal point of contact. Now, full disclaimer. Now, the point of contact does not mean this will be the only person you can speak with, right? Some organization will tell you, well, for this, we have a VP of strategy or a VP of IT that does some of this role. So I don't care I just need to know who would be the one to answer this question. We recommend the CEO or the CISO, somebody at the C-level executive should be the ones to give us this information. But sometimes they will tell you, well, we have, you know, ABC person that will be doing it, and that's okay, as long as they spell it out to me. But I think the CEO should be the one to talk to us about this, or a C-level executive for sure should be the one to talk to you about that. And don't worry, they will show up. Trust me. They will show up. You'll be surprised. They will show up. I mean, I meet a lot of C-level executives when I do assessment. Their general counsel, their CFO, CISO, they will show up because it's a big deal for you to do those kind of assessment. Their leadership, everybody is involved. They know because they need the report too. So they will just tell. And the beautiful thing is when they show up, if your CISO, CEO, CFO, or anyone, general counsel show up, guess who else has no choice but to show up? Everybody else. So it's easy. And most times they love to show up because they want to set the tone as the leader of the organization to show up so that everybody else will show up naturally. So naturally everybody shows up really once their top leaders show up for sure. Okay. So this is a good one. So let me ask. Now I just realized I need to send you all another document. This one will show us a little bit more fun. Ha ha ha. More fun, I think, because this would give you some actual questions we asked. Let me see if I have those questions, Andy. Let's see. And the responses rather. point of contact. Let's see the responses because that will be something I can do an assessment real quick for you guys, everybody on the call. But before we do that, okay, what I'm going to do first is I want us to, before I pull that out, I'm going to have to look for it. I'm going to put us in a group real quick. What I need you to do in the group is I want you to open this same file, right? Then I want you to look at the point of contact and tell me one alternate point of contact that you think for each of the for the first let's do this one. So we have the first one, govern. I want you to look at all the point of contact for govern. Tell me, looking at them, tell me one other alternate person that can represent the point of contact. So let me give an example. For the first one, we said CEO. You could tell me that beside the CEO, we can have a CISO also. So you can just put slash CISO. If you guys see my screen, so you can see me say slash CISO. I can also say slash VP of IT. All right. So I added two more people because, in reality, you could have one contact, but somebody else could represent them. So that happens all the time. So I want you to look at it and tell me, I want you to do for, I want us to do it for the governed area as a team. If that is clear, give me thumbs up. I like that somebody said CTO. Yeah, you can choose a chief technology officer to do it. I just want you to add for every point of contact under govern, add an alternate person that can do their role. If it is clear, give me thumbs up real quick. It's a very simple exercise. So, okay, good. All right, I'll make you all do it as a team while I quickly pull the other document. So you hear some silence. Let me challenge everybody on this call. This is the most important piece of the puzzle, believe it or not. When you interact like this is the real deal. This is what really counts the most. That's the value. So make sure just participate, no big deal. Don't worry about it at all. So just participate and have fun doing it, okay? Let me just open your files and for each of those, just quickly find somebody and I'll quickly pull the other document, share it to the larger community also. But let's start with that first, and we can come back in the next. I'll try and get that in 5 minutes, then I'll bring us back. All right, let's quickly get to our groups. Let's see, 15. Let's do. All right, you might see you guys might see yourself like 11 people in a room. Don't worry about it. All right. Okay, see you guys in a bit. All right, all right. Welcome back, everybody. All right, all right, all right, all right. Are we all here? Let's see. Okay, all right. Sorry, everybody. The material I mentioned earlier on, I got it. So let me just show you guys so that we can use this as a group real quick. And I'll be out of your way now. And I'll put us back in our group. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. So let me quickly tell you what I want us to do. Yes, you guys were giving me alternate person to bring on board. That's great. But this is the big one. For those of you that are part of my regular class, you would have access to everything, right? But for the internship, I only gave access to govern, so I can be fair within our community. But later, if you are doing your normal, the I'll release the main document next week. But this is my class response document, okay? But I will give you guys the govern section, okay? Let's talk about this real quick. So here's the point. This is their response. I want you guys to score them based on their response. Let's call the first two together, okay? Look at their response. They said, the company's vision statement is clearly defined and communicated through internal documents and meetings, aligning with strategic goal. On a scale of 1 to 5, what will you score them here? I want to see you guys comment, and I'm going to use that as my guide. Okay. Now, let me challenge everybody. Be careful when you give somebody 5. Be very conservative. I challenge you, okay? I'm not saying people cannot get 5, but you have to be able to convince them or convince us that they deserve 5. All right. So, because they said everything is fine, I may be fine with 4. I know a lot of you said 4, 3, 4, 3, and there's quantitative, like you said, I can do four. I can live with four, but five, I may be scared to put it at five, except I see additional document and data to give me that comfort level. Now, if you put it at three, I won't say no also because what that would do is that to force them to tell you that, okay, this is the evidence we have. So, they would do more work to give you more evidence. So let's go with four, just to be fair. Let's be nice for today. Somebody said two. All right, we'll challenge you a little bit on that one. Now, okay, let's go to the next one. Look at their comment on this one. The question was the control states. Let me make sure we get the control. It says internal and external stakeholder are understood and their needs and expectations regarding cybersecurity risk management are understood. Okay, it said specifically practices and procedures are in place aligning with industry standard. They just said, okay, it's in place, it's aligned with industry standard. What do you guys think we should score them here? Okay, I think I'll go 3-2 personally. And again, don't forget, it doesn't mean anyone is right or wrong. It's subjective. The key word is reasonableness, and if you can defend it, and make sure it's something you can live with and feel good when somebody asks you to defend it. Okay, that's the key at the end of the day. Let's another one. I want to see some of yours. Okay, look at this. Legal, regulatory, and contractual requirements regarding cybersecurity, including privacy and civil liberties obligations, are understood and managed. Look at the current comment. Gaps identified during the review suggest areas for improvement. What do you guys think we should give them here? I love that. You guys are spot on. Okay, good. I love it. Okay, so I think we can live with this together. So we've done the first one, two, the first three together. Can you all continue from GV04? Continue from GV04, and I'll take us back to our break room right now so that we can just continue from there. Okay. All right. Got it. So at least we did one together. Continue from the GB04, and I'll kick you back to your break room. We'll do that for another 12 minutes, and I'll bring us back. Okay. And just please, whoever is described, I may just randomly select a few people just talk about what they saw. Maybe one or two people. Okay. Go back to your group. Let's put us back to our group, and let's keep it going. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Now, I agree, we can all agree on this one that there's never enough time when you do an assessment. And, in the past, we used to use 1 hour. Your feedback made us push it to extra 30 minutes for so we can have more time. But it's just, the key is if we can understand the concept of doing one or two, I feel good. It's the same principle to do multiple ones. It's not really different. Of course, I selected the governance so that you can use that as a guide for you at any point in time. So, just own it. I think that's the key. So finally, before we jump out real quick, I know it's towards the end of the day. Let's do a quick Kahoot for another just few minutes and we'll bounce from here. All right. Okay, if you don't mind, let's go to Kahoot real quick, everybody. Let's go to Kahoot. And the pin is oh, okay. Yep, let's start the Kahoot. All right, so let me share the pin. It's gonna be 2888 boxing, team soccer, track. Okay, let's see what you got. Team boxing, team track and field, team soccer. The pin is 2889160. Let me share it with the group real quick. All right, let's go. And I would also include most of you follow me on LinkedIn so you can get most information. I just sent my LinkedIn. I'll find some time on early next week, accept all the LinkedIn requests. And there's so much coming up, folks. Just let's all connect. All right, let's give it another 1 minute. And for everybody, we normally get out in 5 minutes. Just give us extra 5 minutes to be out of here, okay? All right, let's start the quiz real quick. And if you've not joined, just click 2889160, okay? All right, let's go. It's going to be just 5 questions or so. All right, let's do some mapping quiz real quick. All right, let's go. When was CSF 2.0 released? That's what you think. Did somebody choose 2074? Wow. Okay. I guess you are in the future. Excellent. Let's see what we got. Okay. Excellent. Most of us are really, I love it. That's great. All right. Soccer is leading. Wow. Soccer is leading real big. The govern function is the new addition in version 2 of the NIST framework of false. All right, soccer is still. What is the purpose of access control in cybersecurity? What's the purpose? Access. Why do we control access? So nobody can just randomly have access. All right. Thank you. Prevent unauthorized access. I agree with that. Wow. Soccer is not joking. What is the purpose of monitoring network traffic? Why do we need to monitor? Analyze log, detect suspicious activity, review log. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, I feel so proud. You guys are just amazing, man. Love it. Okay. Two more. What's the purpose of recovery from a cybersecurity incident? Why do we need to recover? Implement improvement, restore affected system, identify systems, prioritize. Excellent. Wow. Man. Okay. Track and field is coming closer. Ha ha ha. Okay. What is the purpose of executive leadership engagement in cybersecurity? Why do we need them to be engaged? Ensure wider adoption, improve management, establish the strategy and policy, focus on critical system or assets. Remember, leadership is really thinking long term, blah, blah, blah. That's what you get. Beautiful. Love it. Strategy. I agree. Whoa, boxing has taken over. All right. I can see Anthony Joshua doing something here. Okay, let's see the next one. Final one. What is the final level in the CMMI maturity model? The final level, the one that is really the top of it all. You guys were scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So what's the final? What do we call that final one? And that's the final one. One more question. I would like you. Let's see the winner. Track and field, third place, and boxing. And the winner is, as always, soccer. Now, don't forget my normal class. Our class starts in the next 25 minutes. So thank you for being part of it. One more thing I would like you all, if you don't mind, please, is I want you to just type here on the Zoom call. We are building a mentorship program, and one of the things that the coaches that were part of this program asked us to do was, what would, if you were part of a mentorship program for 6 months that will guide you to be successful in any space of your life, what are the top two things you want to be successful at? Just type it in the chat if you don't mind. Let me just see it, and I will share it with them. I forgot to put that poll out. But we can just type it here. That'll be great if you don't mind. Just type it here. But beside that, thank you so much all for, okay, I love that job and SME. Type whatever comes to your mind. Career success, job, SME, career success, financial independent, growth. Oh, I like that. Regular communication and leadership skills, transfer skills, investment portfolio, entrepreneurship, career advancement, scalability, financial success, communication. I like that. Communication, I'll bring someone to come and give us a, that's awesome. I like that actually. Okay, great. Networking. Okay, excellent. Self mastery, job and career. Okay, thank you so much, folks. And remember, impossible is nothing. Enjoy the spring holiday with the family. God bless everybody. My folks, I'll see you in a bit. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy. We'll talk soon. Thank you. Thanks all.